What if you were grieving over a lost loved one to suicide and there was nowhere to go? Today we're talking with Gretchen McGeeney, who's changing that on Colorado's Western Slope. She leads Heartbeat of Grand Junction, a support group helping people navigate the loss of a loved one to suicide with empathy, connection, and real community. And here's the thing, it's the only group of its kind in the region. This is her story. Let's get into it.
Why don't you tell me a little bit just about Heartbeat? And, we'd like to kind of know the background of how you got there, what it was like when you first, got involved, and what we're doing now with Heartbeat and so far.
So Heartbeat is a support group for those who have lost a loved one to suicide. And it doesn't matter if it's a family member or a friend or a colleague, or maybe it's your student or a professor or teacher, just someone that you cared about. We're here to help support you on the grief journey. I got involved with Heartbeat almost 20 years ago when my son took his life. And I didn't even know about Heartbeat or any support groups or anything like that. And so even though we didn't know where my son was at that time, and it took us over a year to actually find him, we knew that suicide was a possibility because he had written some notes. And so based on that, when I got back to Grand Junction after we were searching for him for the first time, we got in contact with Heartbeat, and they said, sure, come on, even if you don't know, you're welcome to attend our meetings. And that's what we like to do, is we like to open it up no matter how far along the journey that you are, so that people can come when they want to and feel comfortable. It's a safe, affirming space that anybody can come, and if you want to just listen to other loss survivors or to the presentation that's being given at that particular meeting, you're welcome to do so. You don't have to come to every meeting. And we offer the opportunity for people to share if they want, or just come and listen. All of our meetings are different topics. We have a meeting per month, a regular support group meeting, and that's held the third Tuesdays of the month at Grand Junction High School, the church across from Grand Junction High School, the First Congregational Church. And it's from 7 to 9 p.m. Usually we call it good at about 8:30. We realize that sitting and talking about your loved one or about your grief journey can be very difficult. And we're there to support you no matter where you are in your grief journey and what you're experiencing. And all emotions are welcome. All of our meetings have different topics, maybe different guest speakers, different subjects. We've had anything from massage therapists come in and give us little 5-minute massages, and talking about the benefits of relaxation techniques to the stress that we're under. We've had professional artists come in and do little art projects with us that are therapeutic. And they're based on, part of our grief journey. And we recognize that the grief journey involves a lot of different emotions and thoughts and feelings. We know that suicide loss survivors are at higher risk for suicide themselves, just because of the stress that this type of loss presents.
I'd like to mention that 988 actually forwards some of the cases over to you. And that I think that Heartbeat is one of the few organizations that offer this type of support. And I know that you were recognized at the yoga festival by getting a huge amount of money from them for mental health. So you have been really a force in this valley. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, we are the only support group that meets regularly in the Grand Valley, and I believe in the entire county, Mesa County. There aren't too many options for a support group. And we recognize that it's a tough subject to talk about, and not everybody's comfortable with it. But we find that those people who do come to a support group, that they find that there's people that understand and get it, and that they're free to express whatever it is and talk about whatever it is that they are needing to talk about. So sometimes we don't even stick to the topic. You know, if somebody needs to talk, then, you know, about a certain issue they're having in their grief journey, then we allow that. So being the only organization that I know of that is a support group specifically for suicide loss, I think it's tough to get the word out. You know, we don't have a whole lot of money to spend on advertising, you know, traditional advertising. So things like this and the Yoga Fest exposure. And we are so grateful to the Yoga Festival for seeing the work that we do as meaningful and helpful to those who choose to be part of this type of support. And of course, there are other types of support, you know, individual counseling, equine therapy, art therapy, just about anything a person could think of could be a form of therapy.
Sure. Kind of like Andrew and his drums.
Yeah. It's very therapeutic to sit there and just beat away on the drums. And in fact, we had a discussion last night on emotions. And if you can find a healthy way to get your emotions out and express what you're feeling, you know, sadness, if you can find those folks that are comfortable, that are okay with just sitting and letting you cry if you need to, or just if you need to talk, or just sitting and being with you. That's so important. But a lot of people have anger for one reason or another. And we seek to help people find tools to be able to get those feelings out in a healthy way, instead of turning to something like drugs or alcohol, or detrimental types of behaviors. We seek to provide those healthy tools and help people discover ways that they can express their grief.
Gretchen is my lovely wife, and I've been involved with her. We've been married for almost 2 years, and I'll tell you that has changed my view of life, to hear these stories and know that a little compassion goes a long way in a time where there just isn't any, where people are saying compassion is a weakness, where in fact we're stronger together when we care for each other. Haven't you noticed that? that, yeah, this is a safe place for people to tell their stories. And it's hard to find a place like that anymore, even within your own family. Yeah.
It's very difficult to talk because people are so afraid to talk about things. They don't want to upset other people, when in fact, if they had the courage to just ask the questions, how are you doing today? And be able to listen, that is so key. Because we find in this society particularly, we're so busy. We're doing this, going here, doing that, working, and we have all this stuff that we have to do in life that we rarely take time out to just listen to someone. I mean, really listen, being present. And that is huge. Heartbeat becomes like a family, because if you show up, we care about you. And we care what you're going through because we understand it. We've been through the same types of things. Not everybody's grief journey is the same. And that's okay, because we're all a little different. But the ways that we express our grief can be enormously different. And just helping people find tools when they feel so lost, especially at the beginning, when they feel so lost and there's that shock, and really it just turns your world just totally upside down, inside out, backwards, and makes you feel like you're on this roller coaster. And being in a place like that, mentally, emotionally, you don't know what to expect. And that can be really scary. So creating a safe place where people feel comfortable that they can come and just share or listen or just learn tools, whatever at their comfort level. Having the courage to start a conversation. If you're noticing somebody just kind of seems out of sorts a little bit someday, just ask them, are you doing okay? And just say, you don't quite seem like yourself today.
You're being there for them.
Yeah, and opening the opportunity for them if they want to open up and share. Just starting a conversation and just asking a question. And then being really present to sit and listen. One of the things that we find when people are really unsure and they get scared of even asking them is not to make people upset. And we find that if you take that chance, who knows what you might be able to help them through if you just sit and listen. The county does trainings for people, which I think everybody should take, assist training or QPR. And that just gives you the basics of when you find a person that's not doing so well and they just need somebody to talk to, or maybe they need a little bit more, is how to help them get the help that they need. And I'm glad you brought the 988 up, because 988, I think, is an incredible resource that people can use. And it's the national hotline, crisis hotline. However, you don't have to be in crisis to call that number. If you just need somebody to talk to because you're going through a rough patch, you just need somebody to listen to you, you tell them what you're there for, what you're calling about or texting about, and just say, I just need somebody to talk to. I'm not in crisis. I just need somebody to talk to. They will get you through to the right avenues. So I just really want to make that clear that 988 is an incredible resource. That if you just need to talk to somebody, just to sort things out.
Absolutely. One thing I noticed being involved with Heartbeat is that you realize that you're not alone in the way that you're feeling. They share these stories and you say, oh, I felt that way before. Or, maybe I shouldn't feel guilty. It wasn't my fault. Or hearing some things that really irritate people who have lost somebody, like basically telling them to get over it. And so it's these people who know the journey and aren't going to be giving you a bunch of nonsense because they think that you need to be happy again, right? And people can't be happy again if they've lost somebody so dear to them. It never goes away, but a lot of people just don't understand that.
Right. In this society, we seem to have this expectation that, okay, 2 weeks after the funeral or the memorial service or the announcement of the death, that person will just move on with their lives. And that is so not true. We know that the grief process takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of patience, because if you try to stifle the grief process and your emotions and things and your thoughts that go with it, chances are you're going to have a real rough time. It's going to manifest itself one way or another in health, mental, physical, emotional health later on, if you don't address the issues. And finding those ways to express, finding those ways to process all of that. And like you said, you're not alone. That, oh, somebody else thought that too. Somebody else put the cell phone in the microwave, absent-mindedly, and does these things that was like, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not going nuts here. I'm just grieving. But we in this society don't know, we don't teach about grief. We don't teach anybody about death and dying and the process. And that it's okay to go through those processes. That's what part of being human is allowing and recognizing that you're feeling a certain way, that you're thinking certain thoughts, and allowing that to happen and reaching out. When you're feeling all alone and deciding, okay, well, like last night we were discussing emotions and we used a book, a story, I read them a story. And in the story, the title was, is it a laughing day or a crying day? And we have to make choices. First of all is becoming aware of what we're feeling and why we're feeling that, and just really being honest with ourselves. And then deciding, okay, what am I going to do with this emotion? Do I stuff it? Do I divert myself? Have I been stuck in this same emotion for a long time? Do I kind of need to take a little vacation from my grief process? And that's okay too. But allowing yourself those ups and downs, the roller coaster, and just realize that that's what happens in the grief journey. It's not cut and clear and dry. There are typical things that people experience, such as that first 6 months. Usually people are in kind of a state of shock, and they just do what they got to do. especially if they have other children or something, if they have a family to take care of, they have jobs or things that have not given them the time off. They have certain parameters, but they still have to find that avenue, those avenues, and allow themselves to grieve. Otherwise, like I said, it's going to catch up with you one way or another, and it probably isn't going to be very pretty. So that's what we're here for at Heartbeat.
Does Heartbeat give people hope that eventually they will heal?
I think so. I've had numerous people tell me, and I've been involved for, like I say, 20 years now, that came when they were first grieving, and they now can look back on that, and they're saying it helped to come and hear that people 5 years, 8 years, 10 years down the road are still here, they're functioning, life can go on, albeit different. It will always be different, but it will go on. And hearing those stories has helped people know that they won't be in the thick of the beginnings of the grief process forever.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. You've always been such a support to me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gretchen McGeeney.
We also do have a coffee every month at Four Winds Coffee. And we meet for a couple of hours very informally. It's much less formal than our regular meetings. And it's just a safe place that you can come and be with other loss survivors and talk about whatever. I mean, it might not be your loss, but it might be just what's going on in your life. And just the opportunity to be someplace with other people where you can just be yourself. And you don't have to put on a pretty face to be there. So that's on the second Saturdays of each month. And I would really like to thank our sponsors for Heartbeat, because without them, we exist solely on private donations and grants. And we function like a nonprofit in that none of us gets paid. We're all peer support because we've been there. And so I would really like to thank our sponsors who allow us to meeting spaces, which is Four Winds Coffee at the corner of Book Cliff and 12th in Grand Junction. And they allow us to just meet at their site for our coffees every month. And the First Congregational Church across from Grand Junction High School, 1425 North 5th Street. And they just allow us to meet there. We are a non-religious group because we want everybody to feel welcome. So you can talk about the spiritual nature of your grief process, because that is part of the grief process. But we don't espouse any one belief system. But the freedom to share those types of things is there as well. And also I would like to mention Health Solutions West, who sponsors our newsletter. We have a newsletter that goes out every other month, and of which myself and my husband kind of put that all together. And it goes out every other month. So our next one's coming up at the end of this month, June. And without Health Solutions West sponsoring the printing of our newsletter, we wouldn't have a newsletter. So very grateful to them. Also would like to mention the Suicide Prevention Coalition for the ability to network with a lot of other community groups and organizations. In November of every year, the Saturday before Thanksgiving, we have an event that's free to all loss survivors. It's called Day of Remembrance. And quite a few different organizations in the community will gather together and provide little activities for people to do. It might involve art, or it might involve little writing things, or we have a choir that comes, and you can sit in the midst of the choir and they will sing to you. It is such a cool experience. So then after 2 hours of allowing people to explore what they want to dabble in for a couple of hours, then we have a lantern float on Martin's Mortuary Lake. So we're very honored that Martin's donates their facility for this event every year. And then I would also like to mention the Colorado National Collaborative Grant, who does provide some of the funds, and that is funneled through the Suicide Prevention Coalition, who doles out grant funds to various groups who are doing the boots on the ground work, like Heartbeat.
Well, thank you for coming. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
We have a website. Our website is heartbeatgj.com. And we also have an email that you can contact us, and that is gjheartbeat@gmail.com. So you're welcome to check out our website, and that will tell you our meeting topics for the month and give you also some resources, both online and in person, and some counseling resources that you can look into as well. So check us out.
As you saw, this work doesn't happen in big offices or with large teams. It happens in quiet rooms, around tables, with a group of women who care deeply, folding newsletters, showing up, and holding space for others when they need it most. Heartbeat of Grand Junction isn't a large organization, it's grassroots. It's sustained by compassion, dedication, and a belief that no one should have to grieve alone. But they can't do it without help. If this story's moved you, if you believe in what they're doing, consider supporting them, whether it's through a donation, volunteering your time, or simply like and subscribing and sharing this video. It truly makes a difference, because for someone out there, this group might be the only place they have to turn. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for caring. If this message touched your heart, please don't scroll away. A Thorn in Your Soul Productions operates as a nonprofit, and we're new as a YouTube station. We're dedicated to help people get through hard times, one story, one message, and one moment at a time. Your donations help us grow, create more meaningful content, and reach more people who need encouragement. And if you can't donate today, your subscribing, like, and sharing still make a powerful difference. Help us turn pain into purpose. Subscribe, support, and walk this journey with us. Thank you.